Hi guys, welcome back. In the second video of the logistics space, we will be covering the Q4FY25 results of Zinka Logistics, also known as Blackbuck. Okay, so Zinka Logistics is the officially company ka name, but the platform through which they provide the services, uska naam hai Blackbuck. Okay, just a thing over here, I will not explain the business model in depth over here. So if you guys want to understand Blackbuck business model in depth, because again there are many moving parts over here, and it would take time if I go to explain how they are different from like the other logistic companies. It will take time, so kindly refer to the business analysis playlist or the logistics sector ka playlist hai, where there is Blackbuck ka video and I've explained everything there in depth. Okay, again over here, if you look at Blackbuck, see, although the name Zinka Logistics is the name of the company, right? There is logistics in the name. It is not a logistics company. They operate in the logistics space, but they are merely a platform, for all the truckers and the truck operators. Okay, just a platform provider where they provide different kind of services in order to like I told you, they provide different kind of services in order to make the life of a truck operator or a truck driver easy. Okay, that is it. Okay, it's similar to like I always keep telling, platform business यहाँ पे similar to like how Zomato is there, basically connecting two people. One is the restaurant people and the customers. Similarly over here, if you see Zinka Logistics, the entire notion of Zinka Logistics is, because if you look at the logistics space of our country, majority of the logistics happens through road transport, and road transport में ज़्यादा क्या चलता है? Trucks. Okay, now almost 70 to 80% of the landscape in this road transport over here, 70 to 80% of the truck operators are chota truck operators. Which means what do I mean by chota truck operators? Either they have 5 trucks or less than 10 trucks. 5 to 10 trucks है एक truck operator के लिए. Now think about this, right? If a truck operator is sitting, let's say he's sitting in a village, okay, and now his truck is going from all the way from, let's say, Bangalore to Kanyakumari, and he's in some village. Okay, how will he manage the truck? How will he know whatever let's say the load has reached the destination, the driver is not lying, the driver is not doing any kind of theft with fuel and everything, right? There are so many tensions, and not just one truck. Let's say if I'm a truck operator, I have 5 different trucks going to different destination. Let's say one is going to Kanyakumari, one is going to Kashmir, one is going to Gujarat. Imagine me, I have to be sitting in Bangalore and I have to be able to track where my truck is going, whether it is the truck going to Kanyakumari, Gujarat or Bombay. I have to make sure that the truck reaches on time. I have to make sure that the driver is not doing any theft in terms of fuel. He's not lying to me. He's not cheating me in any things, right? So how can I as a truck operator be able to do it? That is where Blackbuck comes and intervenes and provides the solution to that truck operator. Okay, like bhai, you sit in your home, you sit in your village, all you need is one phone. आप वो फोन में जाओ, हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म में जाओ, and you will get all the information तुम्हारा ट्रक क्या कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, let's say if you have a truck which is reaching from point A to point B, ठीक है, how long did it took, how many stops did it take, where are the tolls that he crossed, how much fuel did he fill, where did he steal the fuel, every single thing, right? Every single thing you will get to know as a truck operator. So the entire platform of Blackbuck is provided for this logistic solution. Again, this entire thing in detail I've explained over there. It is a very beautiful business model, and it's really beautiful. Just catch up with that video. Okay, now the first thing first, let's talk about the numbers. Okay, because if you look at Blackbuck, when they got listed over here, they were a very high sales growth kind of engine. Okay, because and that has continued even for Q4FY25 and FY25, because if you look at the sales growth is 40% on a year-on-year basis, and if you look at Q4 versus Q4, it is a good 37%. Now the problem with Blackbuck since the time it got listed was, just like any other platform business, just like any other startup, it was a loss-making company. EBITDA losses पे भी चल रहा था. And one thing that the management promised from day one is, our EBITDA losses will come down, we will become profitable, our operating leverage will kick in, and they kept telling that because उनका कहना था, whatever the customer acquisition that is there, it has been done. ठीक है. Whenever you talk about a platform business, the customer acquisition is your big cost over here. But once a person starts using the platform, he keeps renewing his subscription fees, it's unlimited operating leverage for the platform, right? So this is what they were banking on and telling we are going to get operating leverage, we're going to have immense operating leverage. They were always guiding for that. Okay, and over the quarters, that is something that we have seen for the first time. On a full year basis, you will see they have become profitable. Again over here, when you are checking the PAT, kindly please go to the income statement. Do not check Blackbuck profitability profitability or PBT on screener, make sure you're going to the income statement, open the income statement and check. And there is another thing, PAT might look skewed because there's a lot of defect tax and current tax. There is also this one-time exceptional item due to this IPO ka, there are some expenses, there are other things also. So that is why just check for the line item right before PBT, okay? Before the PBT, before exceptional items or anything, right after the expense, the line item you get, that is a, I would say that gives a proper view of, the PBT that is there with the company. And if you look at it, the PBT for the full year is 92 crore versus last time it was a loss of 16 crore. Similarly, if you look at it even on a QOQ basis also, it is not QOQ when I tell Q4 versus Q4 also, it is a similar kind of numbers, okay? Also, if you look PAT, if you might look, it might look 280 crore, it might look big, but again, like I told you, it's just a one-time thing. The numbers are skewed a little bit, so kindly take that time to understand that income statement, okay? Other than that, if you see, now when you talk about the other metrics that are there with Blackbuck, okay, the first metric over here is you have to see any business ultimately is a combination of two things, volume growth and value growth. How will volume growth come over here with Blackbuck? More number of people should start using the platform, right? So the more number of people uses, volume growth aa jayega. How will value growth come? They should be able to do more amount of payments. Maybe earlier they were doing, only for one service. Now they're using the Blackbuck platform for two services. And the amount of payment that they're doing, let's say earlier they were spending the transaction value for one truck operator was 2000. Now let's say uska transaction value है 4000, ठीक है? So obviously यहाँ पे volume or value growth, यहाँ पे this is how it sees. Now if you look at the average monthly transacting truck operators जो है, it has increased to 7.6 lakhs. Earlier it was I think around around 6.5 lakhs in last Q4 versus this Q4. And if you look on an FY24 versus FY25 basis, last time it was 5.9 lakhs and this time there are 7.7 lakhs truck operators. So that's a growth of 20%, ठीक है? अगर आप देखते हो total number of how much gross transaction value of payment has been done, that is 35% का increase on a year-on-year basis. And if you look at the total number of payment transactions that has happened, that is a roughly growth of 34%, ठीक है? And the number of users that are using more than one payment or two payment is 31%. So all the metrics that you would need in a platform business, that is gross transaction value, the number of truck operators, the number of users who are using the platform is good, 20% and 36 to 40% respectively. Very, very brilliant set. Like I told you, sales growth hai, operating leverage got kicked in, volume growth is coming, value growth is also coming. Now the other factor, but I will tell you the most beautiful part in the PPT was they have literally shown this graph of like how operating leverage is kicking in. I think everybody should like catch up with that PPT, by the way, because when they listed for the first time, उनका जो EBITDA margins था, it was -9 था, ठीक है? And right now their EBITDA margin is 39.3%. -9 से 39.3%. -9 was in Q1 of 24, Q1 of that 23-24, and Q1 of FY24, the starting quarter of last year. And Q4 of FY24 में उनका EBITDA margin was 16.8%. So Q4 of this last year versus Q4 of this year 39, 16 से 39 हुआ. The EBITDA का margin, as you can see, has literally more than doubled over here, ठीक है? Similarly, अगर आप EBITDA भी देखते हो, adjusted EBITDA, अगर आप देखते हो, it went from negative loss of 5.8 crores to अभी 53.7 crores. So overall, really again that operating leverage is really kicking in. Like I told you, जो management बोल रहा था, right? Our operating leverage will kick in. It has happened wonderfully, and right, for any stock to work, you need both. You need high sales growth and leverage. You need that EPS growth coming in. And here you can see both, right? You can see the high sales growth is maintained, as well as that now operating leverage is kicking in. So it is a really good example of how a business can change its direction. एक loss company से profitable company बन रहा है Blackbuck, ठीक है? Which was the biggest because I think everybody understood कि like Blackbuck has potential when it came to IPO. But वही ना एक startup है, अभी भी loss making है, that becomes a bit of a negative for shareholders, because अगर EPS is not growing, shareholders will not make money ultimately. I mean, we are not private equity investors सिर्फ growth देख के that doesn't work over here, right? That is the thing. Other than that, if you look, there are the other part of business update. Now when you look at Blackbuck business, there are two vertical. One is a core vertical and the other is a growth vertical. Core vertical contributes 85% of the top line. इस core vertical वर्टिकल में क्या है, टोलिंग है एंड व्हाट इज द टोलिंग एंड द अदर थिंग इज टेलीमैटिक सिस्टम या टेलीमैटिक्स. Tolling is that payment services जो होता है, which is great. It is growing at a 40% on year basis. Other than that, they've also applied for a license, to be a partner in terms of payment license, basically called as PPI. Now you might see, right, if you're in Amazon, you can also pay through UPI, or you have this Amazon wallet where you can add cash and then make through payments. So similarly, Blackbuck, what they're doing is they're trying to create their own wallet. Okay, so इसके लिए आपको license लेना पड़ता है, RBI and everything. I think they're working on getting the license, and I believe they've gotten it also. So this is one update. The other than that, उनका जो vehicle tracking और telematics है, in this telematics, which is core, under core there is telematics. Telematics में दो subsegment है, one is fuel sensor and the other one is GPS. Okay, fuel sensor we know from Q4FY25 का update that fuel sensor really kicked off, right? Like absolutely huge kick off हुआ था fuel sensor, because if you remember, इस fuel sensor में एक problem था. When they introduced fuel sensor for the first time, the price of the fuel sensor, एक fuel sensor का था 25,000. Now think about this. Most of the truck operators are from tier 2, tier 3 cities. You really think एक ट्रक के लिए वो 25,000 का एक फ्यूल सेंसर डालेगा? Other than that, he'll be like, भाई मैं instead of that let my truck fellow do chori in terms of the cash, वो बोलेगा मैंने 1 लीटर पेट्रोल डाला, मैंने 10 लीटर पेट्रोल डाला, but he would have put 8 लीटर, ठीक है तू 2 लीटर पेट्रोल का पैसा खा ले, right? He would have told that is okay. So now what happened? They understood कि like the reason although fuel sensor is a very good product, it is not really taking off in the market is because the price point is a pinch for this truck operator. Because think about it, एक बंदे के पास 5 ट्रक है, 25,000 मतलब 1.25 lakhs होगा. He might not have that money for that kind of investment. So what they did, they got the price down, they reworked, they re-engineered the product and got it down from 25,000 to 20k to 15k, and then last quarter I think they released it for like 10.5 to 11k in that range, and boom, the sale of fuel sensors just took off. I believe जो सेल उन्होंने किया था इन आई थिंक इन Q2 का पूरा क्वार्टर में, दे डिड डबल ऑफ दैट सेल इन जस्ट प्रॉब्ली 1 month ऑफ द लॉन्च ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट, समथिंग इन दैट रेंज. ठीक है, सो फ्यूल सेंसर टुक ऑफ इन द टेलीमैटिक्स डिविजन. नाउ द सेकंड प्रोडक्ट दैट दे हैव इज GPS ट्रैकिंग. ये GPS ट्रैकिंग क्या है? यू हैव अ tracking system on your truck. Now think about this, right? See, if I'm a truck operator, how do I make money? I make money when I have a load on my truck and I know that the load has to reach. Let's say if I promise my client that the load will reach from Bangalore to Kashmir in 10 days, it has to reach in 10 days. अगर वो 10 days से ज़्यादा हुआ तो client मेरे साथ झगड़ा करेगा, right? So that is the reason. ठीक है. Now यहाँ पे क्या होता है? The truck operator will be like, he will keep lying कि like, oh यहाँ पे traffic है, oh मेरा गाड़ी यहाँ पे टूट गया, for all he will tell कि like यहाँ पे पंचर हो गया, दैट हो गया, बट पंचर ही नहीं हुआ. हाउ विल यू नो पंचर हुआ है? देयर इज नो वे यू विल गेट टू नो, राइट? ही माइट टेल कि लाइक यहाँ पे कुछ पेड़ पड़ा है, देयर इज सम ट्रैफिक, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम नॉट एबल टू गो. बट हाउ वुड यू नो दैट ही इज लाइंग और नॉट? यू वुडंट नो. फॉर ऑल यू नो ही इज लाइंग, एंड वहाँ पे वो टिकटॉक का रील बना रहे, इंस्टाग्राम का रील बना रहे कि लाइक देखो आज मैंने ट्रक में इतने ये खाना बनाया. सो दैट इज द थिंग, राइट? सो व्हाट हैपेंस, दिस GPS tracker will give the truck operator can sit at home and he can track like, okay, he crossed from point A to point B in this many minutes. So for him to reach point C now, it will take so many minutes. He stopped the vehicle here, he took a break over here, the vehicle was stopped for 15 minutes. Okay, every little details that is there, you will get, and there is no way, there is literally no way this truck guy will cheat, the truck driver will cheat the truck operator. यहाँ पे the problem over here was again the problem over here was, the another thing over here is also when you look at the tolling also. Okay, now the government is telling कि like, the toll system that is there, it will be based on GPS. Let's say you enter, तुमने कितना वो हाईवे में, how many kilometers you went, and based on that the toll will be deducted, from that GPS, how many kilometers you go. Now if you look at it, the government of India has made it mandatory कि like, तुम्हें ये सब ट्रक में लगाना ही पड़ेगा. ठीक है, so as a result 25% of the sales of this telematics जो है vehicle tracking system in this GPS का sensor, that is driven by this government का regulation. The other rest is driven purely from the need of the driver. ठीक है, कि like या ट्रक ऑपरेटर को to manage the truck driver, उसका need के लिए ही it has been driven. ठीक है, so वहाँ पर भी है, this is the core part of the business. Now the growth part of the business, which is the other 15% that is there, वहाँ पे it is going good only, nothing really, वो भी has grown at a really good rate. सिर्फ एक ही problem है in the growth vertical that is there. उनका they have this in growth vertical vertical, they provide financing solution. Now let's say if a trucker has to buy or truck operator has to buy a new truck. Think about it, na ek truck ka paisa hote 20 lakh, 25 lakhs it will start. Now he might not have that money, at once to give 25 lakhs. He will not even get loan also, right? Because it's very difficult. In sabke paas education nahi hota hai. They do not have proper degrees and all, right? So it becomes very hard for them to get loan. So what Blackbuck does is they become the middleman in helping financing between the various banks and NBFCs as well as the truck operator. Now यहाँ पे the disbursal of loan has not been that great. It has been a little bit slow than what is expected because the NBFCs, the small finance banks that are there, उनका कहना है कि we would rather want to have high quality loan books with us rather than just focus on the high disbursements. ठीक है, वो उनका कहना है, and I think this is very right. You know that Blackbuck का management is not lying. Tell me how? Because if you watch Rajoshi's video, he covered the entire NBFC, small finance banks में, all these microfinance में क्या हो रहा है. What is the one thing do you see in microfinance cycle? सब बोल रहे हैं कि जो भी गंदा पास था, when the asset quality was deteriorating and everything, that is okay. But उनका भी क्या है? Everything is getting better. We are out of the bottom. But जो growth rate आने वाला है, वो disbursement पगला चौदह के साथ, we give out the loan, that has not come yet. ठीक है? Similarly, thing Blackbuck also told कि वो थोड़ा because the focus is more on providing high quality loans rather than just growing the loan book. ठीक है? So इसलिए वो था. Other than that, all well and good. Again, the other thing what they're doing also, like I think one of the advantage that Blackbuck is doing is they're increasing the number of hubs, their distribution systems, because एक चीज तो है, see, truck operators and truck drivers are still, a majority people of them, they are not well educated and all, ठीक है, तो आप उनके लिए phone दो, app दो and all, it becomes difficult. So, they have increased the distribution from 50 hubs to 100 hubs. In this way, you not only have a platform, you have these different hubs where you go and educate the truck operator कि like ये भी एक platform है, ऐसा तुम कुछ कर सकते हो, ठीक है? That is the thing, ठीक है? So overall good, everything great. There is absolutely stellar business update, stellar performance by the company. Absolutely kiss-ass kind of company it is. Really nice. The only I think risk somebody had pointed out in the con call के like what is the advantage that you have over, let's say, because ये जो telematic system है, which is let's say whether it is a GPS sensor या तुम्हारा fuel sensor. Now what happens is OEMs are there, na, like the original, like let's say for Mahindra and Mahindra, all this original जो car बनाता है. Now if the government of India makes it like 100% mandatory, तुम्हें ये सब करना ही पड़ेगा, they will start introducing it there. Na, when they are manufacturing the vehicle only, they can fit that GPS का system, fuel sensor का system and all. And that is what somebody had asked, like if that happens, don't you think it will be a loss? Because this fuel sensor and vehicle tracking का जो GPS है, which is a main part, it is a part of core business. Now here is the thing, every fuel sensor, every GPS works on a particular platform. Now let's say अभी का जो truck है, the truck operator has 5 trucks, he is already using the Blackbuck का platform. Now if he is buying a new truck and उसमें OEM का let's say वो device है, then obviously he can't use it on Blackbuck का platform. Now it becomes very difficult. He has to use the OEM का platform. So वो तो वो नहीं करेगा. As a result, that is why they're telling this OEMs installing GPS का sensor and everything. It has been there for the last 5 to 10 years, okay, but we still don't see any threat because of the same, ठीक है. The other advantage that they have is उनका जो fuel sensor है, उनका ये जो GPS का tracking system है, all of these things are way cheaper compared to what the OEM will provide you during the purchase of the vehicle, ठीक है. So that is why they do not see any sort of threat, ठीक है. Again, other than that, if you see all well, all good. उनका कहना है कि like indirectly they told we should be able to grow at this rate for next 2 to 3 years because उनका ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा customer acquisition हो चुका है. Probably in the upcoming years, maybe after 2 to 3 years, you will see that the customer का जो base है, it might hardly grow by 20%, obviously as the base grows bigger, but until the next 2 to 3 years they shouldn't have problem with that case. So that's the thing, ठीक है. So overall, really good update, really great, because I really like any management that just walks the talk, because if you actually listen to Blackbuck on call, you can understand that this guy is really passionate about the business, because from the time I've been listening to his following up with the transcript since the time it's come from IPO, and the only thing they keep talking about, one thing is they keep talking about getting operating leverage, and that has been on their mind since day one, since the time they've been listed. I think they knew market merit operating leverage दिखाना ही पड़ेगा, वरना no analyst they will just keep grilling you on this. So that has been been on their mind, and to see them just executed so beautifully, so flawlessly the last 4 quarters, the way the operating leverage has been playing out, right? And especially this quarter, the best consistent growth in operating leverage. Excellent, okay. And the second thing that he keeps talking about is, the business model. Like, he's so patient explaining the business model to anybody, and every time he keeps talking about, the kind of efficiency that they provide, how they're able to do it, and everything. In fact, ये इनका business इतना अच्छा चल रहा है कि, like, there are some competitors who are getting into, this, because this fuel sensor and this vehicle tracking का GPS का sensor जो है, it has become a huge hit for them, ठीक है, huge hit. Because of this, there are some people in the unlisted market, obviously, like private companies, they see, because all of the data is public, right? Since now they are listed, they have also started getting into, this segment over here. And when asked, like, do you see any threat, they told, like, more competition the better. But again, we do not see a threat, because हमारा जो भी है, we have the IP patent rights, हमारा सब कुछ in house होता है. The only thing is manufacturing of their product we give it to third party, because we do not see any advantage, like हम थोड़ा cost बचा रहे. It is much better if we do contract, we give the contract to somebody else for manufacturing. So that is the thing. So well and good, well and great. Operating leverage even should play out in the upcoming in the upcoming quarters of FY26. Hopefully, again, the pace of growth continues. For them, sticking up with this 35 to 40% ka pace of growth, maintaining that growth rate becomes very, very important, because that is the only differentiating factor for them. If they are a mere 20% ka growth engine, then it wouldn't make, it would be a meh kind of thing. Okay? So that's that. Excellent thing. Yeah, and also just a final reminder that we have an upcoming workshop coming on June 7th. That is this Saturday, and we will be discussing our portfolio. What are the stocks that we bought in this year? What are the stocks that we sold? How do we do this portfolio management? Which are the stocks that we buy? Why do we increase the allocation? Why do we decrease? Which are the stocks that we lost money on? Everything will be discussed over here. So make sure to join the workshop. It is on 7th of June 2025. That is in this Saturday. I'm going to put the link in the description box below, okay, and as well as in the comment section. See you live on June 7th. Okay, bye.